Hey, this is Dr. Fowler. This is our Heart Health Workshop. If you'll stand by me, this is our first Facebook Live seminar. We're really excited to be offering these so you can be able to share these. You can watch them over and over. You can just learn some more of the information. You know, our mission and passion is to be able to change families' lives. By the way, this is a live raw video, so if you hear people in the background, we're just winding down within the office with our new patients and visits today. Matthew's here actually running the camera. He's going to be telling me what questions you have. Is anyone comments? Please like this, please share this. If you like what I have to say, hit the hearts, please like it. Likes are like hugs, so I appreciate it greatly. And so, you like that, Matthew? And so tonight, what we're going to talk about is the Heart Health and Heart Smart Workshop. Believe it or not, Americans, they say 50% of us are going to have a heart attack in some time of our lives. Over 1 million of us a year die from heart attacks. And this is crazy because our bodies were designed by this amazing creator that I don't believe, at least in my opinion, that gave us this body that's supposed to live 70, 80, 90, or 100 years old with a heart that's going to live 65 or 50 or 45. And so there's an incongruency there. And when there's incongruency, there's destruction. So we're going to go over this tonight on how to pull some of these things together. Maybe pull back the layers of why these things are happening. Because heart attacks weren't always a common thing. We'll get into that some tonight too. So when we talk about health, number one, structurally as a chiropractic clinic, we generally talk about the structure of the spine and the nervous system and all the nerves that go out through the body. That's one. So health is like a triangle. Then number two, we've got emotions. And so what is the stress that's going on in our body? What are the stress hormones? What are these things that are happening? And then three, what are the chemical or the metabolic things that are going on? These three things create a triangle, a triune of health. So tonight we're going to talk more about that third spot. What are we putting in our bodies? How is our body reacting to that? And is this good or bad? I guess we're going to say the stats are bad when all of us are having heart attacks and heart issues. So if you have people that have heart issues, if you have it in your family, please get out the notepad. I'm going to go over some great information for you tonight. So, all right. Matt, where's our clicker? Hey, Alika, can you do me a favor? Can you hit the space bar for me? That'd be awesome. Did it work? All right, don't hit it now. Don't hit it now. So today's our Heart Smart Workshop. We want this thing healthy and pumping. Believe it or not, our heart, can you check this out, pumps more than 100,000 times a day. You pump more than 2,000 gallons of blood in one day. This is incredible to think about. 60,000 miles of vessels and arteries within your body. And so that's what I was mentioning to you before. In chiropractic, the major premise is that there's this innate intelligence. There's an intelligence, this God-given intelligence from ourselves, from when we went from 2 half cells to 30 to 90 trillion in 9 months, that created this body out of nothing. And that same intelligence is within inside us that is fighting every day for you to be healthier. And so every day it wants you to survive. It cares for you so much that it's going to go through some of the mechanisms that I'm going to talk about in a minute, that it's going to protect your systems to the point possibly later of failure. But first it's trying to protect you at all times. And it's doing it so smart that if you look at the things that we do on a daily basis, today's society, if you really look at it, I mean, we used to work, we used to get our heart pumping, we used to put organic food in our mouths, there was no chemicals, there's no chemicals in the air, there was clean water, and people would live a certain amount of time. And now we've got, dirty air, we've got chemicals and stuff in the food, pesticides in our food, non-organic food, GMO food, and then medications. And you pull all these things together, and the reality is our body puts up with so much. It's incredible. But it's so smart that it doesn't tell you when everything has an issue. Like smoking, for instance, we all know that smoking's bad. Some still do it, some don't. We all know that fast food is bad, but we still do it. Why? It's because there's this delayed gratification or this delayed source of, is this good or bad? Meaning, if you took a cigarette and you smoked it today, would you start coughing up blood and have cancer that day? No. What about the next day? No. What about the day after that? No. The reality is that it takes a month. It takes years. It takes decades for the fibrosis to set in, for these things to happen, so that you actually create a disease process. And it's not until the last stages that you generally find out and that you feel the pain. And so health itself has nothing to do with how we feel in our body. It's how we're functioning. And our bodies can protect that function so much that you don't know it till later on. So we're going to go tonight is how do you get it functioning better, and how do you get it working the right way. I already mentioned this. Check this out. Every 33 seconds, someone in the United States is going to die from cardiovascular disease. That's crazy to think about. So we're going to talk about why that is in just a second here. So the mechanism of cardiovascular disease. What is heart disease? Heart disease, number one, can cause from high blood pressure. I'll explain why that happens right now. But it's mainly what's called atherosclerosis, or plaquing of the arteries within the body that start to cover, and like a hose that's got a bunch of sediment in it and the water can't come out as hard as it should. That plaquing goes throughout the body. And if it happens in the heart over time, the blood can't get to the heart where it's like 75, 85% occlusion or blocked. That's when we get heart disease or a heart attack. That's when we feel it. But it's not till it's at 85% that we feel it. If it's at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%, we don't. So what happens, check this out, is it goes and there's this irritation on the lining. And we're going to talk about why that happens, but say on your skin, someone was just rubbing it like this. Or, you know, I was going to say, if you're running a marathon, some people put, Band-Aids on because it's like this cloth is rubbing, But it's a whole other story from our runners. But say someone's rubbing your skin like this, and as it's rubbing, it starts to get irritated. Well, then what might you do? You could put a lotion on it, you could cover it up, you could put a Band-Aid or something on it there. Well, what the body does, because it's not going to, if you rubbed it long enough, eventually it would bleed, it would scab, right? Well, the body for the arteries is not going to scab, because then it would make coagulation and blood clots, and that would be a really bad issue. Well, what it's going to do, it's going to cover it with like an awesome lotion. Like if you use coconut oil, you kind of know what that kind of feels like. An awesome lotion or cover. That thing is called cholesterol. Cholesterol. Everyone says cholesterol is the bad guy. I say, wait a second, cholesterol is not actually the bad guy. And we're going to talk about this more too. It's that cholesterol itself is because this area has had an issue. So like you have a Matt's writing me a question. This is awesome. So please send in your questions. Share this, please. Do your likes. Send this out. All right, what do we got? Beth says hi. Hi, Beth. You're awesome. Appreciate you very much. So we've got the cholesterol here. This is great. So we've got the cholesterol, and it's going on the arteries, just like putting spackle on the wall. All right. And so as this goes, it starts to increase. 5, 10 years later, burgers later, trans fats later, as all these things happen. Bad fats later. Margarine. All these things. So it starts to get smaller and smaller until there's a point where this grows so much that it goes from cholesterol that it's staying there. And the body says, well, I can't heal fast enough. I'm going to create plaquing, and I'm going to make this harden. And what it's going to do is occlude this so much that now the blood cells can't get through, and that's the day you have the heart attack. Got it? So how does this happen, and why does this happen? Do you know what actually closes off or causes that irritation in the beginning? Is that the question you're doing? Cool. What is that? Hi, Christina. You're awesome. So, from that, so sugars and inflammation in our blood is what actually causes, I spit on that one, let me get a drink. So sugar and inflammation in the blood is what causes that irritation in the blood vessels. These guys have been talking all day. So as you have this irritation in the blood vessels. So sugar is the amazing things. Hi, Britton. So, yes, come see us. Yeah. Oh yeah, come see us, Britton. Matt says come see us. So as that goes on, you get this irritation in the sugars, all right? And so what's going on at this point is what we have to do is realize that sugar's in the blood. So when your blood spikes from, fake sugars, from real sugar, from doing too much, all right? Refined foods, from pastas, from pop soda, all those kind of things. As this sugar blanks up, it irritates it. And so you can look at this with your blood sugar counts through the day to make sure they're level between 80 and 120. You can look at a 90-day process of how the red blood cells are being attacked by the sugar from your A1C. These are things you can check on your regular blood cells. Also, you can check the inflammatory processes in your body, which is called the C-reactive protein. It's another beautiful, so a couple very easy things to test on your blood work if you do that. C-reactive protein and A1C. You'll be able to see exactly how much inflammation is going on. These are great predictors of our cardiovascular health. So as you go through this, you say, well, cholesterol is the bad guy, right? I want to decrease cholesterol. Well, actually, cholesterol is made from a part in our liver that is super high in vitamin D. It's super healing, and its job is to protect those blood vessels. So it's kind of like saying that the police are the bad guys, because every time that there is a fire, or every time that there's a crime, darn it, the police are there. So like, no, it's that the crime is the bad guy, and the police are there to protect and to serve. Well, that's the same thing with cholesterol. The cholesterol is there to serve, all right? So we'll look at this, like Lipitor reduces the risk of heart attacks by 36%. So Lipitor is a statin medication. Now, I don't know if you can zoom here, but right there's a little asterisk, okay? You don't have to zoom that, but it says that this asterisk says that means that in a large clinical study, 3% of patients taking a sugar pill or placebo had a heart attack compared to 2%. So they did this huge study. They had a control study. This kind of pisses me off, I'm sorry. They had a control study, and they had a normal people, 100 people in each. This one, for 3 years, took a sugar pill, 3 people had a heart attack. This one, they had 100 people, 2 had a heart attack. So there's different factors, everyone has different lifestyles, all these different things, but from what that study, statistically, the change was a 30-some% change, because 3 to 2 is this, there's 30% difference. That's not, for me, that wouldn't be a clinically enough change to put my hat on. But then you pay some famous doctor millions of dollars and put that on every TV show and every Super Bowl, we start to think, shoot, maybe, I got to look at this cholesterol, right? But they found that cholesterol, and even if you look on a statin package, it says it is not shown or proven to decrease heart attack. It is only shown or proven to decrease cholesterol blood panels. So the reality is it's not the cholesterol's fault. Now, if you have high cholesterol, you do need to make changes, and when they give you on these medications, and if you're on them, I'm not saying stop tonight. What I'm saying is you need to take control of your health. And that's what this clinic is about. We can guide you and help you with these things with our Ideal Protein Weight Loss Program, for eating programs, do a standard process detoxification, or just start to eat right in the things that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But the reality here is that even decreasing cholesterol isn't going to magically change your life or decrease all of these heart symptoms. The reality is that only small statistical changes with this, plus along with attacking the liver, it's changing the liver enzymes that make cholesterol. So now when you haven't changed your lifestyle, your sugars are still giving them this onslaught onto your blood vessels. The reality is those other changes are going to happen. So most people long-term on statin medications are going to see changes like neuropathy within their hands and feet. They're going to start to see some serious brain fog, so like almost like dementia type symptoms coming on. If you know people that are having these type of symptoms and they're on statins, please look this up. Secondarily, it decreases an enzyme in the body called CoQ10, which is one of the last electron transport chain and acceptors that takes one molecule of oxygen and turns it to, say, 24 or 36 molecules of energy called ATP. And the reality of this is that if you don't have this CoQ10, the muscles start to starve for oxygen energy, causing many times muscle aches or myalgias. This is one of the side effects of statins that the doctors are always looking for. And so your legs, your arms, these things will start to cramp and start to atrophy because they're not getting the oxygen that they need. But why is someone on a statin? Because their heart isn't doing as good, but the heart's made of what? Muscle. So the reality is that the statin side effects could, theoretically in my mind, mess with the heart. That's not cool. So the reality, what it comes down to is you got to take control of this. So let's talk about that. So what's the solution? Now I'm going to talk about lifestyle, and some people hem and haw on changing things, but the reason is, what is the why? Now, do you want to be around for your kids? Do you want to be around for your grandkids? Do you want to be around for the mission that you need to take on in your life? So what's going to go on in here is inflammation is number one. You got to put out the fire. So that happens from number here, it's like changing the sugars in your diet, going to more natural foods, eating foods that are like raw vegetables or some cooked vegetables, but instead of swapping those out for the pastas, use the spiralizers, all right? Not so much sugary drinks, the sodas, the pops, those things. Go back to water with a little lemon juice, things like that. Cooking oils, now trans fats are those like canola and all those ones, all those are, and I'm going to show you a slide with like the 50 mechanisms you have to go through to turn it from, say, soybeans over to, canola oil. These things are horrible for your body. They're trans fats. And what they do is they literally insert themselves into the cell membrane, this biphosphate lipid layer. And so what happens is it literally changes how the cell works, how it can change and accept all the different receptors and things. And the reality is is this is going to change your health long term. It's going to change how your body's going to, it's going to communicate, how it's going to function, how it's going to get rid of waste products. Now, when you talk about those things, you get into symptoms like fibromyalgia and those type of conditions. But we've got to change these oils. And so the good oils that we're talking about, avocado, amazing, amazing good fat. We want these good fats. It's what our nervous system and our body is made of, and this inflammation is made of. We want, avocados, coconut oil is beautiful. Put coconut oil on as much stuff as you can do. The nice organic coconut oil, it's kind of, it's solid at room temperature. It's beautiful. Using that with your cooking. Now we also talk about olive oil. The only caveat, olive oil is a very low boiling temperature, and so don't fry with it, don't cook very high temperatures with it. That's an oil to be using for salad dressings and things like that. Use grapeseed if you're going to be frying or doing things at high temperature. And so using these good oils, and even butter, cream, basically should be unpasteurized like it was created to do, to create the best fats within the body. And so we got this trans fats. Trans fats are where you get pretty much everything that comes out of a box, everything you can put on a shelf and it stays for more than 6 months has had those fats changed. It is almost like turning you, every time you're eating these, even though you can't feel it, it's turning you into one of those wax things at the wax museum, right? It's just changing how your body's functioning. Again, guys, please share us, like us, ask us your questions. And so also, dairy products are very inflammatory. If you have kids, I kind of take a deep breath here because there's a whole other seminar on this as far as kids' health. But if you have kids that are sick all the time, getting asthma, ear infections, things like that, the first thing to do is take them off dairy. Okay? With your processed foods and then refined grains, so the grains, anything your body's going to break down quickly into sugar, refined or whole grains. Bye, Alka. What it's going to do here is it's going to turn that into sugar. Sugar spikes, insulin's released, then the chemical pathways are set up for inflammation in the body. Long term, this creates the havoc that we're talking about, and will create this long-term heart disease. So what we want to do is we want to get good fats. So one of the top things that we can do and eat that's going to decrease our chance of heart attacks by, say, 50%. One is cold water fish, like salmon. Now, here's the caveat with this, or kind of the sad thing where we're at, is that salmon these days, unless you're getting it fresh from Alaska, straight from the rivers, that's pretty much the only salmon you should be eating, that, if you think you're doing it for health. All the Atlantic caught, all the fresh, all these different things like that, they're all farm raised. They have a very low omega count. And at the same respect, sometimes they'll even have to put coloring or feed them food coloring to change the tissue, the beautiful pink that it's supposed to be. So if you can't get Alaskan caught salmon, which we know is not the cheapest thing in the world all the time, do fish oils. And so we have tuna mega oil. Last couple of years, Standard Process came out with cod liver oil, which is what I recommend and what I give my kids and myself now. The cod liver oil has higher vitamin A and vitamin D, and so that's more anti-cancer. It's more increasing the immune system. I think it's beautiful. If you don't want to take the pills, or your kids aren't into that, so that you can use Norwegic Naturals or Carlson's brands you can get at Sprouts or Whole Foods or any of those places. Norwegic Naturals actually has a very good orange flavored one. It's very high in DHA, which is huge for brain development in kids. With that, so avocados, coconut oil, as I said, butter. Yes, butter is good for you. Nuts, so good nuts now. Like peanuts, someone asked me this the other day. Peanuts are very high in arachidonic acid, so it's an omega-9, which is very inflammatory in the body. So you want to limit your amount of peanuts specifically. It also has a lot of aflatoxins or different fungus that are within them when they're drying it, and it can cause other issues. I mean, kids with allergies, things like that. But almond butters, walnuts, all these other ones, pistachios actually are high in protein, but these different ones are very good for the body. And then fish oils, of course, as I mentioned here. Now, what is the only medication or the only supplement that's been approved by the FDA? After years and years, they just had to succumb to it. These fish oils are so healthy that even though they're selling you a refined version of it, which I think you should get a more natural version, but actually fish oils are the only one passed and approved by the FDA as a straight supplement that hasn't been made in a laboratory that they can now prescribe because it's so good for you. So listen to the FDA, listen to me, start taking fish oils today. It's going to help your brain work better, decrease inflammation, and be great for your heart. The only caveat is if you are on blood thinners, it is a slight blood thinner in the body. So you shouldn't be on blood thinners and that at the same time, unless you work with your doctor to replace the blood thinners with that, okay? So on here we talk about butter. A lot of people say, butter, I don't eat butter, this and that. Well, back in about 1910, our butter consumption was about 18 pounds a person, okay, per year. Now, realize that this butter was churned, it was made, it's not pasteurized, processed, heated, like this was like pure good butter, good fats that were broken down. Now, we have about below 4 pounds. So this is 1910. At 26, the first recorded heart attack came on. So for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, we've been eating butter, dairy, all these things. Now we start to change that process, we start to get more grains. First recorded heart attack comes in. Now at this point from there, you start to add margarine. So like, well, you know, butter and all these are bad. A lot of lobbying went into these things, but now we want to use this margarine, which is literally like oil from a car or processed oil from plants that are not good for a human to consume. And then they take this through this process. You add the little yellow packaging, or the little, you know, people that are like my grandma and grandpa would be able to remember when they put the yellow food coloring in to the margarine to make it yellow and actually look like butter. But this stuff is like what you would use in your car. You have to go through all these different mechanisms to get margarine, and then they promote it as a health thing. And so the reality is that is, hey guys. So from that, what this does is it makes the body not function as well as it should. My docs are eating food over here. They're making me hungry. So with this, even the ants know. So like this is butter. These are margarine. They know what's good and natural here. And so I use the, like just Land O'Lakes unsalted butter. If you have a creamery or something like that near you, can get unpasteurized. That's even better. But I just get this, you know, straight from the store. That's what we use with our family. Other supplements and things that are great. Vitamin C is very anti-inflammatory. Obviously, we all know that for getting colds or those things. But as far as these, the oranges, other citrus fruits, those are great. Now, we're talking about sugar onslaught in the body, juicing and those things. We don't want to push all that into the body. So if you're juicing, one of the amazing things like heart disease, if you've ever seen the movie Fat, Sick, or Nearly Dead, it's a great one on Netflix. It talks about a guy that's overweight, he's having heart issues, all this stuff. He's sick of taking medications. He goes on a 40-day juicing fast and loses a ton of weight. All his blood levels change. You know, when you get healthy and you put healthy stuff in your body, it's going to change. But if you're juicing, it should be at least 2/3 or 3/4 vegetables, and then the rest fruit, because the vegetables are very low glycemic index, and it's not going to spike the blood sugar as much. Secondarily, eat the whole fruit, not the rind, but I mean eat the whole fruits when you're doing it, because the fiber and all those things slows down the glucose absorption, okay? So other things that are high in vitamin C, papaya, bell peppers, strawberries, all makes a huge change. Magnesium, so magnesium in the body is very good for relaxing. We use actually a product called Muscles a lot in the body, or here in the office if someone's having a lot of cramps or having like muscle twitches and things in their legs, restless leg. Center Process has magnesium lactate, which is beautiful. I think that's going to come up on this next one here. So magnesium in the body calms it and calms the arteries and those things. So if you're short on these minerals, it's going to increase the blood pressure. So we want things like pumpkin seeds, spinach, Swiss chard, and so all these things increase the magnesium. So the green leafy vegetables is the basics of what you want to continue to add into your life. Potassium is another one. So you want to help your muscles and nerves. Potassium is huge for the nerve transmission in the body. And so with these, we have Swiss chard, lima beans, and so some of the roots, like potatoes and yams, use those obviously. Eat more sweet potatoes, or eat the yams more than the potatoes for the glycemic index. And go through spinach and things like that. Here's just some basics. Next, was there any questions, Matt? We good? What do we got?
Lindsay just wanted to point out that it can help you sleep too.
The magnesium is beautiful. Yeah, so like our Muscles product, or if you like Calm is a great one. If you're out there and you're not able to get to our office, if you go on Amazon and look at like Calm, beautiful product to help you sleep. For relaxing, we actually have one's called Mintran, which is magnesium, sea kelp, and alfalfa. It literally means mineral tranquilizer. We use that with our kids that have like ADD and ADHD, or if someone has something they don't like in one of the other supplements, but they want magnesium, they want these different things. Mintran is a beautiful supplement. But really, the goal is we should be getting all of this through our food. We should be getting it through the stuff we're eating on a daily basis. In a perfect world, we should have a garden. If you're making these things, we're able to grow it, throw it in the blender, cook it lightly, and then eat these on a daily basis. The other food group that you can do to decrease your heart for over 50% is green leafy vegetables, and also like cucumbers and things like that. You should be eating at least 3 raw a day, and then others cooked. So really upping your game on what you're putting in your mouth, putting in your body, and notice the changes in your energy and how things are moving long term. Also, like a good greens drink is another way. Like we use some protein greens that's got just a lot of good stuff in it, but something like that that's alkalizing your body, that's getting these greens in so your body's able to function and work the right way. Now, exercise is the next part. We're going to just talk about this. We've got about 5 minutes left. For those of you hanging in, you're doing a great job. So with this exercise, if you think of it, most people think, I don't like exercise. I don't like the energy levels with exercise. I don't like to run and things like that. Exercise does not have to be horrible. There's a great book on anxiety and stress called Play It Away. And the gentleman just figured out that he was behind a desk all day. Life was not fun. He had no more, he hated it. And so he just started playing catch and playing frisbee with his friends and going out and throwing the ball around like a kid again. And he started enjoying life one more time. So exercise doesn't have to be something bad. You can make games out of it. On the side note, the first marathoner, when he went out and did the marathon and ran to tell that like Greece won, what actually happened is right after. Why 26.2 is the marathon? Because he died right after that. And that became like set in stone. That's how long a marathon was. And so many people, they've got EMS, they've got things, and I'm all about, we just did a post on long distance running, one of our amazing patients that just finished 2 long distance races. That doesn't mean it's not always the healthiest, because what happens is, and it's great if you're doing that, it's so cool. But as far as heart health on its own, the body gets very used to running at that consistent pace. It's very efficient, it's not going to waste energy. So to actually increase heart health, cardiovascular, stroke volume, different things like that, true measurements of health, what you have to do is what's called interval training. And so take where you're at, and for a 30-second to a minute interval, increase it. So this could be jumping jacks. This could be if you're elderly, or if you're, the things you could be sitting in a chair and just move your arms for a minute. You can move your legs for a minute. This could be like this morning I did a workout, so I did 45 seconds of kettlebell swings. Mark from Hallmark Bodies taught me this cool program. And so you do 45 seconds of kettlebell swings, take 15 seconds off. Then do some ab work, take 15 seconds off. 45 seconds of shoulders, and then you take 15 seconds off. And you go back and forth for a set of like 10 or 12 exercises, but you want to increase your heart rate so it spikes up to about that 60, 70, 80% of your normal rate. And then from there, or your max anyway, and then you let it come down and you spike it back up. Just like anything else, when environment you put it in, it's going to respond. So you want to try to increase your cardiac capacity over time, increase your stroke volume over time. So, went over that. Cool. This is all research from Dr. Sears. And so really the main thing for heart health is called high intensity training, or HIIT training. And so just as I mentioned, and it doesn't mean that you have to go to the gym. It could mean just going anywhere and using body weights, doing lunges, doing squats, arms over heads, using cans of soup. Like just find out where your health is. What do you got? What do you got? Anything funny?
Just the soup.
Okay, you like soup, Matt? Here's soup for Matt. So like us again, share us. Thank you so much. And then again, we're going to talk about the last thing here is posture. So as Americans, work used to be like this. Now work is like this. And so studies show that over time, that if your posture is this way, it can increase your blood pressure. There's multiple studies, if you Google chiropractic and blood pressure getting adjusted, particularly normal atlas adjustments and those, and lowering blood pressure after. With this, there's studies that show also having poor posture can increase, decrease cardiac capacity and also increase blood pressure. Why is that? Is because as these things start to come forward, the ribs don't start to move as well. In the body, when we breathe, the ribs are supposed to come up, things are supposed to function, the diaphragm's supposed to move a whole bunch. Well, all these mechanisms work the right way, our body's in ease. When we start to come down like this, when we're all day in the computer, when we're locked in, those areas in 2 to 3 months are going to start to degenerate and cause scar tissue, and then put pressure on those nerves and cause those wrong signals. And so our job as chiropractic then is to adjust these areas and help with the posture and help bring these things moving up the right way. So in summary tonight, what do we talk about? We talked about, number one, why is there heart disease? We want to decrease inflammation in the body. All right, we want to make these lifestyle choices. They're going to bring, alkalinities, not have the sugar spikes, and start to get long-term health for our heart. We're going to increase omegas, and we're going to increase good fats in the body. What do we got, Mike? Oh, Jennifer, thank you for sharing the video. Appreciate that very much. Great job. And so we want to do burst type exercise. How long do we do this for? Literally 5 to 10 minutes a day, 5 to 10 minutes every other day can be amazing for your heart. Literally just that amount of exercise. Over time, your body's going to respond, and you're going to quickly see that you can do way more exercise in these areas than you could before. And from there, the goal is to get adjusted. I'm a chiropractor, I'm a little bit biased, but to get true ease within the body, to get the nervous system functioning right, to get the ribs, the spine, get the posture there. Long term, if you want to live to that 70, 80, 90 and have high quality life, you got to take care of this vessel that we've been given. So health is a journey. It starts with a single step. That's why the clinic's called First Step, is so you can take steps in the right direction. The first one is toward health, toward things that grow your body. Again, from me, thank you. I hope you guys learned some stuff tonight. Send your comments, even if you saw this after. Write your comments, your questions, and please, if you have other topics that you'd like me to talk on, we're going to plan these out at least once a month for kids' health, for multiple of the different things, how to not get sick, best adjustments, ergonomics, different things like that. So also about every 2 weeks we're doing little mini-series. So thank you. Share this. Any questions you have, please let us know. You can always call our office for any questions also, 972-412-4442. Thanks. God bless.